What's a made up fact that sounds real? Vitamins is actually a portmanteau of the words vital minerals. First one on this thread that I believed before realizing what this thread was. Same. I legit just read the title. Understood it, then instantly thought this was real. The human body produces enough saliva in one lifetime to fill a submarine. How much is that in football fields? At least one, depending on the size of the submarine. NERF is an acronym for non-expanding recreational foam. I'd honestly believe this if it wasn't in this thread. I believed it until someone in a different thread mentioned it wasn't real. No one cited sources on either side, and I was too lazy to investigate. So it still could be real, but likely isn't. This is from the inventor of NERF on his website link. People often ask whether NERF was the name that we chose for the wider range of foam products. The answer is no. Our in-house working name, while we were developing the product ideas, made reference to addendums to enhance a woman's presence. We called it Falsy Ball. It was after our line of foam products hit the market under the name NERF that we learned where the name came from. One of the people involved in promoting the line suggested naming it after the foam padded roll bars on Jeeps, which off-roaders had dubbed NERF bars. The name stuck. Okay, but why are NERF bars called that? Spirit of Halloween is owned by Spencer's. It makes 50% of Spencer's profit in the 2 months they are open. This is my favorite so far. I have no idea what's even real anymore. After reading this thread, I don't believe that. Monocles with 2 lenses are called bionicles. Fun fact, it first had 3 lenses because it kept breaking and was called trickles. But then the glasses got stronger and they didn't need 3. They reduced it to 2 and then 1. That's also where the phrase trickle down comes from. It trickled down to monocles. Trickle down monoconomics. A single ravioli is called a raviolus. Is a single tortellini a tortellino? Yes, though scientists are still searching for the tortello. The inside of your armpit has a unique print, much like no one person has the same fingerprints. Everything is unique if you look hard enough. And nothing is if you look harder. Everything is unique if you look hard enough. And nothing is if you look harder. This is ducking poetry, man. You are twice as likely to die during a pro wrestling match than you are a legit boxing match or MMA fight. Watching or being in one. For spectators, I'd believe it. The reason why the police are sometimes called cops is because their badges used to be made out of copper. Wait a second. I thought this was actually true. No. Cop actually comes from copper, which is English slang. Basically, a copper is someone who seizes things by force. At least according to my Google, that word is also the source of phrases like copper feel or copper attitude. Neat. Dinosaurs had big ears. But everyone forgot this, because dinosaur ears don't have bones. It's a rock fact. Oh yeah. It's autumn time. Velveeta is compressed American cheese that didn't meet quality standards. American cheese has quality standards. The entire state of Wisconsin wants to know your location. Lifesavers candy was invented to help prevent choking deaths. The idea behind them was that if the candy should become lodged in the throat, there would still be a small hole in the center for air to pass through. They were literally life-saving. Lifesavers were put on the market only 3 months after the Titanic sank. This is the better one, since it references what most people recognize as the actual origin of the name. And it's totally plausible that a candy company in 1911 would be callous enough to capitalize on a tragedy. Edit, this is actually true. Edit, yes. It was 1912. No. Getting that wrong by 1 digit does not equate to anti-vax propaganda. If you feel the need to correct it, I've heard you. If you feel the need to be a smug bastard about it, suck me, mate. This one is actually true. Norwegian warships don't have numbers painted on their bows. Instead they have barcodes printed on them. That way when they get back to port they can Scandinavian. This is the most underrated thing I have read. I love you. Thank you for my new second favorite joke of all time. You have changed my life for the better. The phrase yeehaw didn't actually come from cowboys. It came from the Chinese railroad workers during the 1800s when they built the Transcontinental Railroad. Related real fact: the term buckaroo is an anglicization of vaquero, pronounced very roughly like vaquero. It literally means cowboy in Spanish. And juizagal, which is the cowboy term for jail, is likewise an anglicization of juzgado, from Spanish juzgado, which is a word for courtroom in Mexico. There's a ton of these. There were a lot of vaqueros around the cowboys of the Old West. Desperado, desesperado, chaps chaparreros, lasso lazo, corral literally just Spanish, ranch rancho, rodeo rodea, stampede stampeder. There's more too. It's like cowboys tried to learn Spanish but half-assed it. United States postal workers technically have the authority to pull over and ticket motorists for speeding if a cop car, an ambulance, fire truck and postal van pulled up at a stop sign at exactly the same time the postal van would have first right of way. Is this the place for Postmaster General facts? Yes, it is. The Postmaster General is 19th in the line of presidential succession, and therefore the highest ranking general in the United States. The Surgeon General is 20th in line, and therefore the second highest ranking general. The Postmaster General is the only member of the executive branch who can neither be fired by the president nor impeached by Congress. Only the Supreme Court, in a process known as judicial discharge, can remove the Postmaster General from his or her office. The Postmaster General is still provided by Congress with $40 a year for the purchase of beeswax and turpentine in order to waterproof haversacks, frocks, coats, and clothing divers. Benjamin Franklin, the first Postmaster General, was posthumously awarded the title Postmaster General Emeritus by Congress in 1976 and recognized as a 6-star general along with generals of the armies George Washington, Douglas MacArthur, and John Pershing, also all posthumously honored. You know, I wanted to fact check this, and I discovered an absolutely amazing and actually true fact according to Wikipedia. The Postmaster General is the second highest paid U.S. government official, based on publicly available salary information, after the President of the United States. I would have never guessed that the best paid government job after the POTUS is, of all people, the boss of the USPS. If you add a decimal to a made up percentage, people are 72.8% more likely to believe it. 89.25% of statistics are made up on the spot. Never believe quotes or statistics you found on the internet. Abraham Lincoln. You can actually hold your breath underwater longer at higher elevations. Edit: I don't know why everyone is questioning and analyzing a fact I literally made up that has no scientific basis. The reverse sounds more plausible. Higher pressure at lower elevation means getting more O2 into your lungs. Training at high elevation could condition your body to work with lower pressure oxygen though. The holes in bread are called Minchin holes after a place in Wales, UK, which has a rock formation with many holes where the rocks are the color of fresh bread. A group of frogs is called a frugality. This one is true. My friend in WoW Club told me your WoW friend was wrong. Sorry. A group of frogs is commonly called an army, although a larger group can also be called a colony. A group of frogs of the same age range a cohort, and a group of calling males a chorus. A group of toads on the other hand is commonly referred to as a knot. Source: Google and Peteticut.com. You're wrong. Sorry. A group of frogs is commonly called a freg, although a larger group can also be called a frug. A group of frogs of the same age range a frag, and a group of calling males a frug. A group of toads on the other hand is commonly referred to as a load of toad. Source: my imagination. Each year, sharks kill more people than toasters. That one's true though. Sharks don't kill any toasters. How can we be sure? Cause if the it fights back, the shark would be toast, or would it? On average, Americans drive an extra 84 miles a year simply by being in the outermost lane around turns. Okay, let's do the math. According to this source link, the standard radius for curbs is 10-15 feet, though in cities it can be as low as 2. So let's take 5 as a conservative estimate, assuming a 90-degree left turn. A car would travel 1, 4 multiply 2 pi multiply 5, 7.85 ft1, 4 of the circumference of the corresponding circle. Standard spacing of a lane is 12 feet link, so the radius for a car one lane out would be 5 plus 12, 17. It would then travel 1, 4 multiply 2 pi multiply 17, 26.70 feet over the course of a single turn. So, each turn in the outer lane loses you 26.70, 7.85, 18.85 foot, to get to 84 miles 443,520 feet. You would need to make 23,529 turns on the outside over the course of a year, which works out to about 64 turns per day, and that's if every turn you make is on the outside. If that's supposed to be an average across all Americans, then it looks like this myth is busted. Fun note, because I teach geometry, it turns out that even knowing the radius of the turn at all is unnecessary. It's just the spacing between the lanes that matters. If the inner turn radius is r, then the calculation for the distance lost on an outside turn is 1, 4 multiply 2 pi r 12, 1, 4 multiply 2 pi r. The r's cancel out, so the difference is always 1, 4 multiply 2 pi multiply 12, 18.85. Our initial assumption about the radius being 5 didn't affect the answer in the first place. Tetris was inspired by a carpet shortage in the Soviet Union. People could only get carpeting scraps that were cut out for where cabinets, closets, etc. were. Because of this, people had to figure out how to cover a floor with those scraps. A worker then had the idea to make a game out of it. The pieces were inspired by common shapes of those carpet scraps. This is cracking. I know this is not true, but I'd happily accept it. 10. I read the post title wrong. I thought it was what's a real fact. That sounds made up, and I've been scrolling down like yep. Didn't know that. Huh, that's interesting. Oh wow. Oh damn, that's really cool as well. What's your real name? Kit, Fodgel, Ducket. We are calling you Soviet Tetris Carpet Squares. A parakeet is derived from pair of keet because typically pet stores sell them in pairs, so they won't be lonely. However, some pet stores will sell you an individual keet. The air velocity of an unladen swallow is approximately 12 ms. African or European? I don't know. IRR. The knife and fork were first paired together by Lord Cutlery, 4th Earl of Wellesbury, in 1542, giving birth to the collective name we use to this day. Change the name to just Cutler, and I'd 1000 take it at face value as true. In a diving decompression chamber, your hair and nails stop growing below 40 meters pressure. If your hand is bigger than your face, you have cancer. Coconut is technically a mammal because it grows hair and produces milk. In 1976, the heads of the 6 leading manufacturers of microwaves, Tappan, Philips, Hitachi, Tricity, Toshiba and Panasonic, met to steal the patent for the rotating plate inside the microwave. They agreed to not pay the patent holder royalties and held that it would return to the exact same spot at the 60-second mark. They met in a secret conference on Jekyll Island, Georgia. If everyone agreed, then no manufacturer would have the upper hand. The average seashell is older than you. Marilyn Manson got some ribs removed so he could suck his own dick. I remember reading a post a while back where someone said he tells people fake fun facts that sound so ridiculous that people believe him. The only one I remember was in Frank was 6'1". You can't see a shadow in a mirror because mirrors only reflect light and shadows are an absence of light. There used to be penguins in the Arctic, but we hunted them to death. You can catch a cold from being cold. Edit: I'm getting way too many responses to respond to them all. Colds are caused by viruses. Can cold weather compromise your immune system, making you more susceptible? Under extreme conditions, yes. You still have to come in contact with the virus. There is not random virus floating out in the air. You have to be in the room with a sick person to get it through the air. It can also last on surfaces for several hours. Going for a run in cold weather will not make you sick if you come home to an empty house where no one has been sick. The grain on wood comes from bacteria that can only move in straight lines. When new logging routes were opened in northern Canada, there was a sudden surge in crow deaths. A study was put in place to find out why the increase in logging trucks were leading to so many crow deaths. During the study, the researchers found that crows often worked in pairs, and when eating carrion off the road, one would act as a spotter and call whenever a car would come to warn the other crow. Turns out, they can't say truck. Fact: in 100% of all fake gun related shootings, the victim is always the one with a fake gun. A flock of butterflies is called a kaleidoscope. After dark in most places in the USA, stop signs that have white borders are considered yield signs. The suicide squads were real World War II army groups sent out during the Battle of Bastogne. They were never expected to make it, and they took on the name in jest. Edit: okay. Holy shit. I know it's cliched out the rear, but my god. I never thought I'd make a post so good it'd get a wholesome award. An embedded journalist with the first squad wrote that one of the soldiers asked, "What is this? Some kind of suicide squad?" And the rest is history.